Hello African Gold Growers, how are you today? Welcome to a new video of African Gold Growers Academy. Today we are going to discuss the visit of Kamala Harris to Africa, the implications to the African entrepreneurs and especially the young and the starter and small entrepreneurs as you in Africa. Also we are going to discuss what is happening in the world, why is Western world so focused in these precisely weeks in Africa, and I will give you my personal point of view. Okay, stay at the end of the video because at the end I will explain you my personal perspective, what is happening in my own perspective about this situation. You don't have to be agree with me, but I think you will find a lot of points very aligned with the reality. So first, let's start watching the video of Kamala Harris arriving to Africa. I make a resume of her speech. So at the end of the video, I will explain you, in my perspective, what is happening. Let's start with the video, and I see you at the end with my own opinion.
I am incredibly honored to be with you here in Ghana, and to the people of this incredible continent, to the people of Ghana, and to all the young leaders with us today, students, entrepreneurs, activists, advocates. It is my extraordinary honor to be with you. So I don't need to tell you, the median age on the African continent is 19. By 2050, 1 in 4 people in the entire world will be on this very continent. 1 in 4. That, of course, means what happens on this continent impacts the entire world. Seeing all of you here today makes me so optimistic and excited about this future. The energy, the dynamism, and the potential that each of you embody. And that is why I am here today. As President Joe Biden said at the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit last December, we're all in on Africa. We are all in because African nations play such a critical role on issues of global importance, issues that matter to the American people and to the world. Issues like food security, the climate crisis, public health, and resilient supply chains. We are all in because African leadership is critical to global peace and security. And African nations are essential partners at the United Nations and in support of international rules and norms. We are all in because the fates of the American people and of America and the continent of Africa are interconnected and interdependent. We are all in because there are long-standing ties between our people. We have an intertwined history, some of which is painful, and some of which is prideful, and all of which we must acknowledge, teach, and never forget. So then, what does it mean that the United States of America is all in? It means that the United States is committed to strengthen our partnerships across the continent of Africa. Partnerships with governments, the private sector, civil society, and all of you. Partnerships based on openness, inclusiveness, candor, shared interests, and mutual benefits. And to be clear, America will be guided not by what we can do for our African partners, but what we can do with our African partners. Together, we will address the challenges we face and the incredible opportunities ahead. And today, I will speak about one particular area of opportunity: investment in innovation. Innovation, I believe, to be the pursuit of what can be, unburdened by what has been. Innovation results in one's ability not only to see, but to do things differently. New methods, new products, new approaches, new ideas. We innovate to be more effective and to solve problems. From the invention of new technology to the origin of social movements, innovation has come about by challenging the premise, questioning the status quo, and bold thinking. And so to the young leaders here today, you, by your very nature, are dreamers and innovators. And so to you I say, it is your spark, your creativity, and your determination that will drive the future. And with that then, African ideas and innovations will shape the future of the world. And so we must invest in the African ingenuity and creativity, which will unlock incredible economic growth and opportunities, not only for the people of the 54 countries that make up this diverse continent, but for the American people and people around the world. So the Biden-Harris administration and the American people stand ready to partner with you to help accelerate the innovation and entrepreneurship that is already underway. Let's look, for example, at what is happening across the continent in technology, science, agriculture, and clean energy, where innovation is solving local problems and global problems. Just think, before Venmo or Apple Pay, there was M-Pesa in Kenya, a mobile phone payment service that revolutionized the digital financial system. In Tanzania, plans are underway to build the first facility of its kind on the continent to process minerals that go into electric vehicle batteries. We see water-based farming in Kenya, battery energy storage systems in Malawi, and fintech startups in Nigeria. African ideas and innovations shaping the world, all of which fuel our optimism and hope, and find ways to accelerate opportunity, growth, and stability. And I believe we must be intentional to make progress in 3 key areas: the empowerment of women, digital inclusion, and good governance and democracy, all of which are a focus of my visit to the continent and going forward, and all of which have the potential to create even more innovation. Innovation that will unlock new jobs, new industries, and exponential growth. So know that the United States of America will work alongside our partners each and every day to close gender gaps here and around the world. The second area where we must together make progress is in the digital economy. Whether you are a student relying on virtual courses, a farmer relying on an app for an early warning about extreme weather, or a small business owner looking to sell goods online. Digital services are essential to 21st century economies. There are places on the continent of Africa that lead the world in digital solutions, yet other places on the continent that lag behind. Expanding access to the internet drives growth and creates opportunity for innovation. And once people are online, they have greater access then to education, greater access to information, and greater access to financial services, which is why the United States will double down on our effort to mobilize billions of dollars in public and private capital from the United States, the continent of Africa, and around the world in order to expand internet access for the benefit of all people here on the continent. And the United States is committed to build these types of partnerships to increase digital inclusion on the continent. And finally, to create inclusive economic growth and to advance innovation, we must continue to support and invest in good governance and democracy. Good governance, well, it delivers predictability, stability, and rule of law, which is what businesses need to invest and what benefits all of society. And good governance is a key attribute of a good democracy. Recent polling tells us the vast majority of Africans support democracy over other forms of government, which reflects our shared desire for freedom and opportunity, transparency and accountability, for free and fair elections, the orderly transition of power, and the protection of fundamental human rights. Indeed, this is a priority for the American people, and it is a global priority. The United States will continue to work alongside democratic governments and in support of democratic aspirations of the people of this continent. And I will say, while democracy is always a work in progress, including in my own country, the American people will always stand with those yearning for more freedom. And so I believe, acting together with intention, we can make progress in these three areas: the empowerment of women, digital inclusion, and good governance and democracy. And just let us take a moment to imagine the future, a future that is propelled by African innovation. So as we leave here today, let us consider then our shared future. Know the United States will remain a steadfast partner for progress. I am more optimistic than I have ever been about the future and the future of the continent of Africa, and by extension, the world. I am optimistic about the future of the world because of you, the woman who will shatter every glass ceiling, the entrepreneur who will identify the next digital breakthrough, the activist who will fight for the dignity of every human being, students and scientists, athletes and artists, farmers and fishers, and the young innovators who will solve problems that we haven't yet identified with solutions we can't even yet imagine. So all of this to say, you, and in particular the young leaders here, You have a role to play. And together we have a role to play. So then, let us dream with ambition and lead with conviction. Thank you very much.
Well, African Gold Grower, what do you think about the video? What do you think from the speech of Kamala Harris? Do you trust, do you believe what she's saying? Well, let me explain you my personal perspective after a big research, watching the news, etc., what is happening. Precisely in this moment is Kamala Harris and Tony Blinken coming to Africa, trying to make negotiations. And another Western countries, for example, Germany is inviting to Ruto, the president of Kenya, and they are having important conversation. And many Western countries are trying to have more engagement with African countries. Why precisely in these exactly moments? Why all these countries at the same time? Putin is trying to have this conversation with Africa. China with Xi Jinping is trying to have this conversation with Africa. Everyone is watching precisely the same weeks to Africa. What is happening? Well, let me explain you really fast. A few weeks ago, we started watching the principal banks of the world crash, literally crash. You know, the Silicon Valley Bank, the Swiss Credit Bank, many principals and even central banks of powerful countries are in a very high risk to don't have cash to pay to the users of the bank. They have a lot of problems in the credit infrastructure they have. So what we are watching actually is an escalation of a problem that started in 2020 with, you know, the health issues that happened that year, but not originated in that time. If you remember in the videos of the Money series, we talked about inflation, devaluation, and fiat currency. Okay, how it works. We talked about the Bretton Woods Agreement and the implications to the monetary system of the world. Now, if you don't watch the videos or if you don't know what I'm talking about, I will leave you at the end of the video the link directly to watch these videos. And we talked there how the fiat money actually works. We said don't have nothing back to support the money, but have a lot of debt working, okay, over the money. So what we are watching actually is the high pressure the debt has over the banks, okay? The fiat money is literally crashing. Nobody, no economic person that is serious in this time can deny this fact. The monetary system is actually crashing, literally crashing. Now, what supports the majority of the coins or majority of the currencies of the world? US dollar. Okay, the fiat currency, the majority of the monies is the currencies is based on US dollar. Now, let's talk about some facts that happened this week precisely. The United Kingdom have a crisis of 70% of inflation over the food. 70%. They have a big issue. They have scarcity of food, fruits, vegetables, meat, etc. They have a huge issue with the inflation over the food. Israel and France are taking several political measurements, so the society is very angry and the system is crashing. If, well, the Israel issues is different than the France, I will talk specifically from France. France is trying to get a new legislation order to have more time to acquire retirement payment, okay? So why is that? Because the government have not cash flow. The government have not enough money to pay to the people. If they stay supporting this pyramid problem, they will crash more and more and more. They need to print. The only way they have is to print more money to give to the people. But if they print more money, they will cause more inflation. Inflation in the United States is over 6%. It's something crazy, okay? 6%. They are almost like Mexico, like many other countries of Latin America. They have a big issue, but they are still printing money. So here is the thing. In my personal perspective, they are understanding the global order, and especially the monetary order, is changing, and it's changing really fast. The president of China, Xi Jinping, said this week, in the next 10 years, we will see a bigger change in humanity that we didn't see in the last 100 years. Okay, literally words. So I think it's something to worry about. It's something to be, will be very interesting to watch also. But he is referring specifically to the big changes we are going to watch in the monetary system, because once the monetary system change, the people minds will change, the social environment will change really, really fast. So we need to understand something. A country with a strong money is a rich and a powerful country. A country with a poor money is a weakness country, okay? It's a weak country. The thing is, the majority of the last 300 years, the European countries had a strong money. So because they had a strong money, or they had a strong monetary system, they control the majority of the things in the world. Now they are watching how the things are changing, okay? Because, for example, in this precisely moment, they have a weak currency, a weak economical system. They don't have enough resources, including people. They have big issues with the younger generations because they don't want to get the same jobs, because they don't have the same creativity, because they don't have the same motivation to work, to create, to invest. They don't have even the same knowledge difference we have in Africa. In Africa, maybe we don't have the best educational systems, maybe we don't have the best health systems and whatever. But people is really creative. People have a lot of hunger to eat the world. When you watch the young generations, they really have this spirit to change the things in the world. They are thinking in a very creative way. And Western countries understand this. So as you listen in the speech of Kamala Harris, she's recognizing the power of Africa. One of every 4 humans will be Africans in the next years. 30% of the natural resources in the world are in Africa in this precisely moment. Africa will be not only a big market to buy stuffs, but also will have the potential to create the stuffs. We will have the most younger generation, the youngest people will be in Africa. The people with more creativity, with more strength will be in Africa by the next 100 years or maybe more. So the things are changing really fast. What we are watching is a despolarization of the world. Okay, we are watching a multipolar world. We are watching a rise in Africa with different potentials inside of Africa. We are watching a rise in China. We are watching to rise Russia. We are watching to rise different countries that have now the control of the conversation. Now, Kamala Harris is visiting Africa because they understand that. What they are trying to do is to convince Africa to work aligned with the Western area of living, with the Western area of economical development, with the Western area of economical, the economical politic. Now, it's a good news for the entrepreneurs, in my perspective, the visit of Kamala Harris and the visit of all the powers of the world. Because all the powers of the world understand they need Africa. They need Africa not only by the resources. They need Africa because the people. Okay? So they are going to try to convince the young generation, okay, to work harder, to produce more innovations, to work aligned, to work by the Western companies, okay, to produce the innovation they need. So this is not bad at all, but we need to have very clear what kind of Africa we want. Because as my father always told me, both parts of negotiations need each other. My father is a salesman and all his life has been in the sales, and he tells me all the time, Haile, in any negotiation, both parts needs each other. So here, even when we see a more accessibly political perspective from the United States, actually when we watch deeply the speech from Kamala Harris, we are watching United States still watch Africa like, well, we're going to work together, but you still need me. You, Africa, still need me as United States because I'm richer. And this is not true, okay? Again, maybe we don't have the best infrastructure, but we have the spirit, but we have the mindset, but we have the resources, okay? So in these negotiations, in my perspective, Africa is who is in charge. Africa is in charge. So literally we are watching how the world, entire world, is asking help to Africa. It's like, please don't let me shut down because the system is crashing. But if you help me, I can survive. They don't use the exactly same words, but in my perspective, this is a narrative. Now, the thing is, if you are an entrepreneur in Africa, you have a lot of opportunities because will be a lot of situations that will open opportunities to African entrepreneurs. Now, what I want to invite you is don't expect the solutions come from outside. If you are an African gold grower, if you are an African entrepreneur, you need to focus in create what Africa needs. Yeah, maybe Germany, maybe United States, maybe United Kingdom have more experience developing technology. They have more startups, they raise billions of dollars, they have big tech companies. But in Africa, we also have this creativity, this potential. We can arise also. We don't need Western companies to develop our own technology because they didn't receive the help from anyone. Okay, if they could, we also can do it. We don't need the energy companies come to Africa to rise our own energy potential. Okay, we have the capacity to do it. If they want to work in a partnership, it's okay. But we always need to have the control of the conversation. We always need to have the control of the conversation. No matter if you are rising a social business, a small business, a big enterprise, if you have big dreams in your career as an entrepreneur, you are just starting. You need to remember we are bringing solutions to African problems, okay? And African problems require African solutions. We can adapt solutions, but we cannot adopt, okay? This is a small difference, but it's really important to understand. Because if we adopt Western solutions, we are going to crash exactly the same as Western countries, okay? Our society will go down. The values will be lost. Our culture will be lost. And we need to maintain our culture. If something makes the human capital of Africa really powerful, is because our culture is so strong. It's so strong that in all the colonial time, they couldn't conquest our spirit. In all the colonial time, they couldn't destroy our cultures. It's that big. But they, only in 100 years of industrialization era, they lost almost everything. So what kind of Africa we want? This is the key point of the thing. Now, about the economical issue, will be strong and difficult times even for Africa. I have to admit, will be a lot of challenges in the path. The economical crisis we are facing, we're watching in this precisely moment, is something as we never watched before in the human history. Okay, I will explain you again. The situation we are living right now is something we have never seen before in humanity. But in Africa, we are very resilient, something that other countries don't have. Their generations are very adapted to live comfortable. So because they are adapted to live comfortable, they don't know how to face difficult, really difficult situations, really difficult issues, okay? To many Africans, it's like the daily life, because we are more resilient. And I'm taking small examples, but because we are more resilient. So if you are a young entrepreneur, be prepared. The transition will be not easy, but be prepared also, because Africa is in the focus of all the world, okay? So a lot of opportunities are coming for Africa. If you are an entrepreneur, you can get a lot of opportunities for Africa. You can grow with this wave. And we need to take action. We need to move fast to keep these opportunities, okay? That's all for today, African Gold Growers. It was a little long video, but I hope you enjoy it. Remember to subscribe, give us a like, tell in the comments what other kind of videos do you want to see in this channel. And remember, we grow gold in Africa. Bye-bye.